This video is sponsored by you. Links to support the channel are in the description, along with the Discord. Ines, the 6-star agent Vanguard, the man of the Arknights trio, and an operator I absolutely botched the review of. Seriously, oh my god, what the f was I talking about? I admit it, I was wrong. And I am sure all of you hearing that are absolutely befuddled. After all, I am never wrong, and none of my takes are bad. But today is the time I finally rectify my wrongdoings, delete that video like Squidward cleaning the loser graffiti, and make a proper Ines review. So hello there, Arknights' most hated YouTuber here. Once again, hold on. Oh come on, why is ChatGPT making fun of me? Let's just get into it. As I said, my review of her was kinda dog water. Why? Simple. It's equal parts me being mentally handicapped and me not really looking into her kit out of underestimating her. That review mostly glossed over her talents, invis removal and the first two skills to only focus on skill 3. In other words, I couldn't make a worse Ines review if I actively tried. Ines is, without question, a tier 0 unit. I'd argue even top 5 operators in the game, right behind Gummy of course. At least, she's definitely the best Vanguard, but not out of killing everyone in front of her, nuh-uh. Ines managed to rise upon the Mount Olympus of meta through a roll compression, which is extremely impressive, especially when compared to other attempts at it in Arknights. Historically, this game doesn't have a good track record when it comes to roll compression. Ines does everything, and I kinda really mean it. Talent 1, Shadow Weaver. She binds enemies for 5 seconds upon first hitting them, and steals 90 attack. This effect expires when the enemy or Ines are defeated. The important bit here is the bind, giving Ines some crowd control. Let's make a little list, why don't we, of what Ines does. I'll update it as we go along. Talent 2 removes invisibility from everyone in range, and reduces their movement speed by 30%. When Ines is retreated or gets her shit kicked in, she leaves a f***ing thing on the field with the same effects. Add that to the list. I'd actually argue that nowadays Ines is the best invisibility removal in the game. God knows CCB2, that f***ing disaster, almost forced you to use her. Or Totter. Or Tsukinogi. Ines is vastly more versatile and thick than her competitors. Sure, her actual effective range is much smaller compared to a Chad Thundercock like a Silverash or Elysium, but thanks to her reduced redeployment time and thing acting as a range extension, it ends up being the better option as you can just plop her all around the map without too much worry. Alright, that goes in the list as well. Let's focus on skill 2 in this video. Skill 1 is decent, and for skill 3 I've personally never found a real use for it. Very funny when you consider my entire previous review was solely about that. On skill 2, her range expands, she more than doubles her attack and gains invisibility. Each attack grants 1 DP and steals 7 attack speed from the target. With Talent 1, this truly showcases her Romanian heritage. To conclude and give a brief recap, Ines, all at the same time when skill 2 is active, costs basically no DP, binds enemies for 5 seconds, steals attack and attack speed, removes invisibility, gains invisibility, slows by 30%, has a summon that acts as a range extension, aka it also removes invisibility and slows, she's a pseudo-fast redeploy, she deals very good damage, and finally she makes DP on par with Myrtle, and is a real Myrtle competitor, which is something not even Saileach could achieve. If you didn't keep count, that's 11 things that Ines is doing all at once. That's more than the average Madrock fan can count up to. But role compression isn't made worthwhile just out of the amount of things an operator can do. You could have an operator do 80 things at once, but if they all suck dick and don't really synergize with each other, that's not gonna matter. Look at Nightmare or Tomimi. While working on the Year 2 review video, I've noticed a lot of Year 2 units have this horrible and sometimes downright bizarre role compression. Nightmare is a caster that can switch to healing like an abjurer, while Tomimi is a high ground RNG physical guard. I don't know what the f*** they were cooking exactly, but the kitchen was clearly understaffed. Not only are the effects themselves not that good, they refuse to synergize with anything in their kits, like snobby little assholes. They aren't complementary to the base kit, they're a whole other thing outside of it that the operator so happens to be able to do. It ends up feeling out of place, and it will always be inferior to another operator who is dedicated to that function. Ines is a different story. Even in a vacuum, these 11 effects are good. Outside of the vacuum, they synergize with each other to make Ines into the meta threat she is. Riddle me this, Gacha gamer. What does Ines want to do? What's her goal, beside impregnating Hoederer? She wants to stay on the field and get off a bunch of hits on enemies so that she can produce DP. Everything in her kit complements this. The invisibility allows her to be immune to the vast majority of threats, and makes it so she can be placed in a lot of tiles she wouldn't be able to otherwise, by virtue of getting murked instantly. Ines can just sit there and gather DP in peace. The shortened deployment time means you can quickly place her all around the map, getting more DP quicker by aggressively targeting the enemies rather than waiting for them to come to Ines. She binds and slows so that they remain in her range for longer, and so on. Of course, this is just regarding how they synergize with each other. In reality, the actual applications of these effects stretch far wider. You can bring her just for the invisibility removal, or for the debuffs, or for the crowd control, or as a fast redeploy assassin that makes some DP on the side. The possibilities are infinite. Myself, sometimes I've been deploying Ines and immediately retreating her just to have the f***ing thing on the field as a passive invisibility removal and slow. A common problem with role compression units in a game like Arknights is that you'd much rather use a specialized unit for whatever you wanna do instead. If you need crowd control, why use an operator that can also do that, instead of one that is dedicated to that function? It's kind of the same issue as summoners. You need to actively be able to justify deploying a summoner instead of a normal operator, which is why Ling is the only remotely viable summoner, because she summons block 4 AoE Madrocks. In the same way, you need to actively justify bringing a role compression operator rather than one that is specialized in what you need. Of course, this is not mentioning trust farming, because that's very niche and not really normal gameplay. Look at Durnar and Asbestos. There's a reason why we don't have a 6-star Arts Defender yet, and that's because it's a weird archetype in the first place. You never really need the specific combination of traits of a unit that is both tanky and can deal arts damage. If you want a tank, get a tank. If you want arts damage, get an arts DPS. You could fix this by making it so a possible 6-star Arts Defender is both really good at tanking and really good at Arts DPS. But purely for the sake of balance, you never want to make a unit that has both immense destructive power and is basically immortal. Most of the time anyway. Ines avoids this common pitfall as well. There's no real Ines replacement. She's unique in what she does because of the role compression. You can't just take her individual parts and get a specialized operator for them. Ines is so powerful because of the sum of her parts and how they perfectly synergize with each other. Someone who only does invisibility removal can't surpass her, the same way someone who only makes DP also can't. And that's all, max out your Gummy, bye. Well, if it isn't the outro. Well, if you didn't watch until the end. Thank you for that, by the way. And well, if it isn't the members and Patreons on screen right now. Well, if it isn't Boop Baobia, Zealot, Quill Damage, Matthew Nemo, Zephyrinix, The Crazy Lord, Lupo, Lord Takio, Nerd Rage, Andrew Mula, Mike Reguera, New Takoyaki, Mimako, Good Old Leon, Maxio Sense, and Chromchan but JJF. Aren't they just splendid? I hope you have a fine rest of your day. Bye bye.